Hi, I'm Lee and this is my podcast about my handmade life. I'm on Instagram as louleigh_ and on Revelry as louleigh, and I have an Etsy shop where I sell knitting needle cases and notions cases at shop louleigh, and you can find links to all of my online places at louleigh.com. I am being joined by my little dog who is sitting here watching the garden, and so hopefully he will settle down and I can just leave him there. If I try and move him, he will come back, but you guys know that already. So this little fluffy thing here, this is a dog. Just in case you haven't been before and you don't know. Oh, actually, speaking of cases, I wanted to just quickly show you my new large knitting needle case, which will be going into the shop this weekend. And if you're on the newsletter, you'll get your shop update notification and preview shortly. So this is the new case, and it is the same dimensions as the old case, which fits, these are for interchangeable needles, and it fits needles from about 3mm through to about 6mm. In that case it has 7 pockets. The new case is the same dimensions, but it has 6 pockets, and it fits needles from 5mm at this end through to 10mm at this end. These ones are actually 9mm because I don't have needles that big, but there is room in there for a 10mm needle. So yeah, I just wanted to show you what's coming. This is community news. We have 2 things going on in the group at the moment. The first is the Advent mini skein swap, which is a quarterly swap for 6 mini skeins, so that we can build up enough mini skeins to have an Advent calendar at the end of the year for Christmas. Or not for Christmas if you don't celebrate Christmas. I'm sure you can still join in the knitting of stripy socks. So yeah, if you want to come in and join that, I will be pairing everybody up on Monday and closing the thread for Q3. Some people are catching up, so they've asked for 2 spots on this one. So that should be really good fun. Pop over and join in if you want to swap mini skeins. We also have the Stash Depreciating shawl along happening in the group at the moment, which is super fun. There's a lot of finished objects in there at the moment. If you want to see what all of the, I don't know, regulations for that cowl are, you can pop over to the group. It'll be linked in the show notes. And just have a look there. And it's been really good fun to see the ways that people are using the yarns that they have in their stash. You can supplement stashed yarns with new yarns, and that's what I've been doing with my shawl, my next shawl, which I'm not sure I've shown you on the podcast yet. So I decided, I had knitted the Jodie shawl, which I think I showed you as a finished object last time, and I had quite a lot of yarn left over, and so I couldn't resist starting a doula. It's a pattern that I've wanted to knit for a while, but I just never sort of found a colour combination that I was really excited about. So yeah, I decided to knit a doula. So I have started knitting this beautiful big butterfly wing. That's what it's reminded me of, I think up this way. Or maybe it doesn't look so butterfly-y anymore. But yeah, that's what it was reminding me of, a butterfly wing. And so much fun. I think I've got to the point where each wedge takes me about an evening. I'm not doing a heck of a lot of knitting at the moment. I was weaving in ends as I went, and just threading them into the I-cord edging. But I discovered that I had made a bit of a mess of that in places because I had poked my needle out the front and not threaded the end incorrectly, so you can actually see some of it, just little bits of the ends from the front, which is a bit annoying because if I'm threading as I'm threading the ends through the I-cord, I'm also weaving them into other ends that are already in the I-cord. So you can't pull them out again, which at least means that they're secure. So there are a few little spots that are a wee bit messy, but I have a few ends that I haven't, that's the back, I have a few ends that I haven't woven in yet, and so I shall be a little bit more careful when I put those ones in. So what I've done is the colour that I had most of, I am using for the stripes, these dark coloured stripes, because you also use this one for a cable that runs along the top of the shawl. I think it runs along this edge here. Yeah, and then you can hear Marshall making a little bed for himself on the couch. This could go on for quite some time, that scratching noise. So, in the wedges, I am using these two colours together, as if they were one yarn, because otherwise I don't think I would have had enough of one or the other to do the whole section. And so what I'm doing is I've started with one of the colours, and then in the next wedge I alternate the colours, and then in the following wedge I use the other colour, then alternate and use the other colour, and I really like the effect of that. I'm not sure if you can see it very well there. It just sort of blends in and out. It is a bit of a faff to alternate colours, but it's only every other wedge, so I can kind of live with that. And there are extra ends to weave in, which is why I'm weaving them in as I go. But as I say, I'm really enjoying the way that that looks. Now there's well, in the pattern it's the third colour, but for me it's the fourth colour because of the way I'm using those yarns as if they were one. And so I needed to find a yarn that would fit into this colour scheme, and by chance I happened to be at Woolfest last week, which was really good. I bumped into a lot of friends, and Fee said hello, and she had on the most marvellous yellow cardigan. She had knitted it out of a Gotland Shetland yarn that was local to her, and then she had dyed it a beautiful gold colour, and she was wearing it over a denim dress, and she just looked great. So thank you for saying hello. Hi. Anyway, so I went to Woolfest, which was marvellous, and my main aim there was to find another colour that fitted in with my shawl. And so, let me find the tag as well. Sorry, all you can see is the top of my head there. So, I found this colour. It was actually kind of difficult. I knew that I wanted something that just sort of fitted in with the whole scheme, and there were semi-solids there that really only had one colour in them, which didn't really feel like that went with the whole aesthetic of the shawl, especially as the wavy bit along the bottom edge is quite a big solid block. So I just felt the yarn needed to have a bit more interest. But I felt like a variegated yarn would be too much, and then there were some beautiful over-dyed yarns. But in the end I found this one. Actually, it wasn't in the end, I found this quite early on and went back to it later. It's a beautiful subtle variegated colour, and so it has, you know, sort of lavender and a bluey grey and sort of like a denim blue actually in there. And this violet colour, and I just think that that looks really good. It just sat really nicely with the other colours that I've got, so I was really pleased to find that. And it is from Sheep on Mars. Oh, you'll be able to see that. There's no colourway name. I think it helps also that it's a merino silk, so it just gives it a bit more texture. And I've got another merino silk in with this shawl as well, so yeah, those work together quite well. So yeah, I was really chuffed with that. I think it's going to be awesome. And so that is mainly what I've been knitting on this week. I'm really excited to you know, just chip off the wedges. I think I'm over halfway through them now, so yeah, that's really good fun. And that is my stash depreciating shawl. So if you want to join the Stash Depreciating Shawl Along, pop over to the Revelry group. It's running until the end of August. Although I keep finding stash yarn for shawls, I've said this before, I think I could carry on through to December or this time next year. So, but it's just really good fun. And finally, this is the sock segment. I don't think I've done a sock segment for a wee while. I thought I would show you my car knitting sock, my car knitting tube, which I will divide up into separate socks when I've actually knitted the whole ball of yarn, because this is mainly what I knitted on while I was in Cumbria, and it's so bright and cheerful. So I've done a few more strokes since you saw that last, and the colour is Summertime, and it is from Desert Vista Dye Works. I was gifted this. It was a lovely gift to receive, and I still have quite a bit of yarn to go. I haven't weighed it, but you can see that there's still a significant ball there, so I'm going to end up with quite a long tube, and then I'll do what I did last time and just divide them up into separate socks that I can gift. Yeah, I think they'll be a small size, so children. I'm sure there'll be no shortage of volunteers to wear these wonderfully stripy socks. So yeah, that is my car knitting tube. It lives in the side pocket of my car as emergency knitting, or you know, knitting I can do that doesn't make me car sick. I've also been working on a new pattern project, so it has been a little bit secret. At the end of last year, one of my friends gave me this pair of socks, and this is the yarn that I dyed, and it's a silk blue face Leicester. And she had come to stay at my place and had taken it home with her, and it's a lace weight yarn, and so she has recently been on a bit of a sock bender. She wasn't the sort of person that thought she would ever knit socks, but she has discovered the joy and has been doing all sorts of interesting things in sock knitting. So she had made this lace weight sock and reinforced the toes and the heel and the cuff, and put this pretty lace pattern, and I was put this pretty lace pattern down the top of the foot, and I was really intrigued by this. I was intrigued by the durability and what shoes they might fit in. And just the whole notion of having a lighter weight sock. Yeah, so I've worn these about 10 times, so they're not really heavily worn, but they have been worn and washed. What I found, you can see that they've got quite a long leg on them, and actually when I need a full sock like that, I like them to be a bit warmer and thicker than this. So these weren't giving me enough insulation for my taste in the winter. The other thing that didn't quite work for me with these socks is the lace pattern, where there's yarn overs, does pull a little bit. You can, I don't know if you'll be able to see that little thread just here. Yeah, and you kind of have to work that back into the sock. So there were a couple of design elements about this rather intriguing pair of socks that didn't quite work for me. So, however, the hot weather came, and I like to wear socks in my trainers. I just don't like the idea of constantly putting your feet in the same pair of shoes. Yeah. I like to line my shoes with something I can wash. And a lot of my cotton socks are starting to wear out, and I was wondering if I could replace them with a pair of hand knitted socks. So I decided to make myself a pair of ankle socks that I could wear in my trainers. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, you have to keep some of it a bit as a surprise. Using a similar concept. So I've reinforced the toe and the heel, and I've also changed the stitch pattern so that there's not so many sort of long sections that would be easy to snag. And I've just knitted up this one at the moment, and I wore it around the factory yesterday, and I think I'm going to put it back on today just to see how it feels on my foot and how it wears. I am going to write up the pattern for this because I'm really intrigued with this ultra light sock experiment. I've knitted it with a lace weight from Eden Cottage. It's the tightest 4-ply, and I think it might be merino silk. Pretty sure it is merino, not BFL. Yeah, so I'm going to write up the pattern and make it available for sale, and at the moment I need some test knitters. So if you're interested in knitting a pair of ultralight socks, please get in touch with me, message me on Ravelry and let me know if you have test knitted before, and it's always useful to be able to have a look at people's project pages as well when they volunteer for test knitting. If you've never knitted a pair of socks before, this is probably not the test knit for you, but yeah, if you have some lace weight yarn that has been loitering about in your stash and you've been wondering what to do with it, then please get in touch. And I think I'm going to, quite excited about the yarn for the actual sample pair. I think I'm going to use this yarn from Martin's Lab, and I think this is a silk merino as well. I don't think this is going to be suitable for a single lace weight yarn. I don't think that would have enough strength, and I think it's probably a good idea to choose a yarn that has something like silk or mohair, or if you have a lace weight yarn with nylon in it, then that's probably going to be perfect. The other thing that you could do is to use a lace weight yarn for the actual foot of the sock, and then perhaps use a normal sock yarn for the heels and toes. But anyway, if you're interested in that, get in touch. It would be awesome to hear from you. So I think my focus for the coming week will be the shawls that I have on the go, so Doodler and Sizzle Pop, and my ultralight socks. I'd like to do some sewing, but I keep being foibled by the good weather. It's been so summery and nice here that I keep finding jobs in the garden to do. Yeah, so perhaps what I need is a good deluge of rain, both for the garden and both so I can hide in the factory today and hide in the factory for the day and do some sewing. So that's all from me for today. It's been really nice to sit and have a chat with you. If you've enjoyed yourself, then please subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and come over to the Ravelry group and say hello. It's always really lovely to meet you there. I hope you have a really wonderful weekend, and I shall see you next time. Cheerio!